Alright, hello. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at the 3 best melee influence abusers in the entire game. And I know you guys don't really come to this channel for meta builds or anything like that. And these are not your usual meta weapons, because I think the usual meta weapons are in fact just not as good as these ones, but they're more easily accessible and they are easier to build than these weapons, but these weapons, all of them have the edge over any meta weapon you might put melee influence on, because of various reasons on each one of them. So let's start with what is, in my opinion, the strongest weapon, melee weapon that is, in the entire game, and that is gonna be the Falcor. So the Falcor is easily comparable to the Zoris sometimes. The Zoris is a free glaive that you get from the Protea quest, and in general this is a very strong weapon. The Zoris can carry you through early game completely, and a lot of people love it. But the Zoris, in comparison to the Falcor, has a thing that doesn't actually put it over the edge. The Falcor has an auto-targeting mechanic, which makes it absolutely ludicrous when it comes to melee influence builds. So we're gonna take a look at that, and we're gonna see why it takes it over the edge abusing this mechanic. In general, the Zoris, stats-wise, is a bit better, but the Zoris lacks, first of all, the Riven disposition, so if you have a Riven, the Falcor is gonna be better regardless. But more importantly, even if you don't have the Riven disposition, or a Riven mod that is, you will be lacking the auto-targeting mechanic, which is what breaks this weapon. Right now, with the Falcor, which I'm not sure why it's invisible in my hand right now. If I have volatile quick return, right? Let me just go bring up the Zoris, because Zoris does have volatile quick return in my build. Yes, okay, perfect. So, Zoris with volatile quick return. If I throw it, you will see that it just bounces on the first enemy hit and comes back. Volatile quick return on glaives is must-have mode because it increases the range of how much your glaive can explode. Like, the explosion range of the glaive gets increased by volatile quick return, so if I do explode it, it's gonna have a huge explosion radius, and the next one is gonna absolutely destroy the guys. But as we can see, like 190,000 damage, pretty good. Not bad, considering my Zoris is a maxed out build that also has a Riven mode, that's pretty good. Now for the Falcor, if I do the same thing on the Falcor and I just throw it, we will see that instead of bouncing, then coming back, or instead of like exploding and coming back, this actually bounces between enemies still. And it also still triggers electricity. I didn't even explode it there, this was just the weapon. I just threw the weapon and it did that much damage without the explosion. If I exploded as well, then immediately from the very first roll, these guys absolutely die. Because I didn't have melee influence when I'd throw it the first time. Now with melee influence, if I do the same thing, we see 580,000 damage. And obviously, depending on how many enemies are on the screen, this will keep going and keep going and keep going. So the thing that puts Falcor over the edge from the Zoris is that despite having pretty much the same explosion radius, the two weapons, this one actually bounces before it explodes, providing more electricity and more corrosive procs. And if we check these guys one more time when I spawn them, if I throw my Falcor, you will see that on the second throw, we are actually getting 3 corrosive procs on these guys by not even exploding the weapon, and exploding the weapon will also give me corrosive procs. So melee influence on this weapon is spreading electricity and corrosive at the same time, and as you saw now, these guys had 9 corrosive procs without me even exploding the Falcor, and they die instantly. That is pretty much why the Falcor is the best and why it's better than any other glaive in the game. Hands down, it's not even close. It's not even close. The mechanic of this weapon, the auto-targeting mechanic, when you abuse it correctly with volatile quick return, it just becomes an absolute, like, insane weapon. Another weapon that has this mechanic is the Kestrel Prime, but obviously the Kestrel Prime, it doesn't have the stats of the Falcor, not even close, so the Falcor just takes the edge of this. So my Riven mode has crit chance, toxin, damage to Grineer. Crit chance definitely helps, it pushes this weapon to orange crits instead of yellow crits on the heavy attacks, but if you wanna just replace the Riven, you put Prime Finger Strike, and that is gonna be absolutely fine. Your damage is still gonna be nuts, you're just gonna do yellow crits instead of orange crits. And this one is rolled directly, so I can do level cap Grineer missions, so I have pretty much anything that I want to do. Like if I have Void Cascade with Grineer, if I want to do like a a disruption mission versus Gunir. This weapon mode has seen many iterations in my channel. I have an iteration where it was pure electricity. I had an iteration where it was crit damage, toxin, electricity, status chance, status duration, like just random stats all over the place. But I ended up on this one finally, and I am pretty happy with it and the results of it. I'm gonna go on a mission that is not Grineer, so I can not abuse the Bane mode of Grineer, as it's like absolutely overpowered. And simply, I'm gonna see if I could actually take it to just EDA or Temporal Archimedia, because I think that's gonna be the best sword case. So here we actually have a Hell Scrub, which is absolutely amazing, and yeah, we can easily just go. So I'll take these and whatever, unlock it. So just a sword case, like a quick run on how it would look like versus these type of level enemies. I think in general, this weapon, no matter what enemies you throw at it, it will just not care. It just does way too much damage, regardless of what enemy type you might find or how much level enemies you might find. Even if we could like go way beyond level 9,999, like I feel like this weapon would be able to handle like level 30,000 or even 300,000 enemies very easily. That's how overpowered it is. But one thing that's obviously kind of bad for this weapon is the single target, which it doesn't really matter when this game is a horde shooter, and even then its single target is pretty good. So yeah. Again, the auto targeting mechanic also helps that you don't actually need to aim the weapon. I can throw it wherever and then it will go directly onto the enemies. That's pretty cool. But in general, if you have any enemies that are close to each other, you just bounce it a bit and then you explode it by timing the heavy attack correctly. This weapon just gets insanely strong. Like it has so much damage. It's nuts. The only bad thing that many people might not like is that it's slow, but obviously if you want, you can add the whirlwind mode for glaives in order to absolutely fix that immediately. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think my Nightwave, or not my Nightwave, my... Oh no, that's from Kavat. I don't actually have anything that increases my critical chance on melee weapons here. I just have an Adorza Kavat so I can reach red crit territory when I have the ribbon together. Pretty cool. By abusing very minimal things, I can actually hit red crits on a weapon with 70% crit chance. Very nice. Thank you, Adorza Kavat. So I want to see if I can find the Babao. Oh, one's down here. We're gonna see that single target damage wise, especially if it does the shield part, we're not gonna do much. But the moment we get some enemies in this area, so I can spread melee influence onto this guy, we'll see that immediately he will start taking a ton more damage. Obviously, those enemies need to actually get here, but you know, if anything goes wrong, you can just flank this guy with multi-kill. With Senate Flank, by the way, I don't know if you guys want me to make a video about it again. Like, I have at least 4 videos on it at this point. So, is it really worth it? Probably not, but yeah, now we're talking. Now the two Babos are stacked next to each other, this is perfect. And we can just throw it. There goes one. And yeah, in general, this is more of like your AoE killing weapon. This is a weapon that you would want to take to either clear mobs on disruption missions or do level cap void cascades, because it just kills any mob that they are... When a mob is grouped together, it just outright kills them super quickly. But As a single target glaive, it's not as good as something like the Zoris or something like the Glaive Prime, obviously. And definitely not the Coda Pathocist. I think out of single target glaive weapons, probably the Pathocist is the strongest one, but I'm not very sure at this point. But what I can say is that if you fight hordes of enemies, if you ever play a Steel Path mission, or even like this mission that doesn't have as many enemies, but they clump up together at some point, you just kind of throw it, and then the corrosive plus electricity procs are kind of just destroying these enemies immediately. So yeah, this is definitely my most used weapon, especially in Wisp, because in Wisp if you're in the air and you throw this, you can actually stay invisible completely all the time. So it has a lot of value on a character like Wisp, where her passive takes into effect and you're pretty much immortal. This is a tech I use in order to do level cap disruptions without even using mod on my Wisp builds and anything like that. Just abusing the fact that her passive is broken. And in general, I think this as a weapon is absolutely amazing. I'm simply gonna go into the next weapon, which is probably, when it comes to melee influence itself, it's probably the best abuser of melee influence in the entire game. But when it comes to being strong, it's not up there just yet, but you can definitely take it up there with a few buffs. The Vastilok. So the Vastilok, you might think, what the hell? You know, like, why this? Why not Redeemer Prime? Why not the Stropha? If you want to do a Gunblade, why the hell would you take this instead of the other two? Simply, the follow-up. The follow-up radius on the Vastilok is up to 49 meters, and it has innate punch through and multi-shot. When we do Redeemer Prime, we'll see that the follow-up radius is only 30 meters instead of 49, and if we would actually go to the wiki to check, we would see that the damage differential, like on 49 meters, I think the Vastilok still has some damage left, so you can actually still do damage from melee influence and heavy attacks. The Redeemer basically has nothing. I think it was like 1.5% of your damage is left when you're past 30 meters. So you're basically dealing no damage whatsoever. This is a shotgun melee weapon, essentially. The Vastilok is more like a burst melee weapon. And then you have the Sarpa, which, you know, kind of same issue, where at 40 meters you have a lot of range, but it loses a ton of damage. The Stropha, I mean, it's the worst one out of all of them with only 16 meters. And yeah, Vastilok, when you put range into effects and when you put it into the equation, it just becomes easily the strongest one out of all of the Gunblades, especially when using melee influence, and we're definitely gonna see that. So this Riven, very easy to fix. Amalgam Organ Shatter if you don't have Riven, and this is a simple build that's just pure electricity, you don't need anything else. I'm gonna go to Simulacrum just to showcase you the combo, because I think the combo is important to know. And then once you do learn the combo and you learn how to master it, then you can take this weapon against pretty much anything. As long as you can survive, you can cheese pretty much any mission with this weapon and go over 200 kills per minute, like very easily. Obviously, you won't beat a side Sobek. Nothing beats a side Sobek in this game, but you can do absolutely ridiculous stuff when it comes to this weapon. So if we spawn these enemies, we have two combos. We have this, right, which is just holding E, and this is like your regular combo that most people spam, and then you have the hold W combo, which does this. And obviously whenever you Tennokai, you can also heavy attack. So obviously this isn't too great, but as you can see, our combo counter is already at 12x, which is really good. What you want to do is you want to hold D, and while holding E, you want to hold W and then swap to S. So you want to do like 2 hits from the standard combo and then hold W, swap, and then swap back. And this allows you to just maintain shooting from far away as fast as possible. So just swap between the two, heavy attack in between, and you get a ton of damage from the combo, and the weapon can just go crazy. The range that comes into effect, let me show you real quick. You can stand all the way back here, and it will still do a ton of damage to these enemies by abusing this combo. It's insane. That's why this weapon is so much better than the other ones, than the other gunblades. Simply the range is too much, and you can sit at really far distances wherever you want and just use it as an assault rifle, especially if you know how to combo it, and you just get a ton of value out of it. This weapon, it comes from borrowed tier, so it's kind of rare. A lot of people don't have it, and it's probably why a lot of people have not seen it a lot and not explained it a lot. But if you do see it on borrowed tier at any point, you should 100% get it. This weapon is ridiculous. Like, you abuse the combo and you get so many kills. It's so insane. Like, you can absolutely go crazy when you abuse the combo, because obviously melee influence, the only reason why some people might think it's balanced is because you're melee. When you use it, you have to use a melee weapon. For this one, you don't. You can use melee influence from really far away and hit people through line of sight checks in other rooms that they don't even, like, you don't even see them ever. It's low-key disruptive. It's that strong. It's like it borderlines on disruptive gameplay on how strong this actually is. It's so good. Like, one heavy attack and 3 rooms die completely. And obviously with Dreamer's Wrath, you know, you can, if you don't like the chances of Dreamer's Wrath and Broken Tennokai like this, even though it's not too hard because you have the multi-shot, you can always do Discipline's Merit, and with Discipline's Merit or even Truth Flame, you will probably be able to heavy attack like every hit. Every hit. I personally don't like Truth Flame, as I think that actually playing with a combo and getting melee influence into doing the heavy attacks after getting melee influence is way more viable. But I mean, look at this damage. This damage is absolutely nuts. Oh, good luck. Just good luck. I did one heavy attack on this guy and they're almost all dead. The only reason they survived is because they cleansed the status effect of electricity through being the Exums. Or the Ancient Healer, sorry. Yeah, the Vastilok is insane, man. Like, you just get so many kills per minute regardless of the tile set, regardless of what you do. You can easily just fuck around and just watch enemies die immediately from you doing essentially nothing. The reason why I don't like Truth Flame on this weapon also, and why I would suggest Discipline's Merit instead, is that because it obviously kills too much and it kills between rooms, there are chances that you will proc Truth Flames and there will be no enemies on your screen to actually shoot it at. Like here, if I hit this guy, suddenly I now have no enemies to actually use Truth Flame on. I will need to like go up here and then keep going, essentially. So you would lose your combo, you would lose Truth Flames, and that's kind of it. Other than that, Truth Flames is an amazing mode, but I personally don't like it for that reason, because then I would have to rebuild combo and start from scratch. But overall, Vastilok is definitely a weapon of all time. And Vastilok is one of the few weapons that also works with Gaia's conductive sphere, so if you want a melee weapon that works with a really funny augment that adds a ton of electricity damage and guaranteed electricity procs, yeah, look no further. It's one of the more broken combinations you can do in terms of melee weapons. That and Gaia with the Chlorophyll. And yeah, it's definitely something that you might want to look into. Like here I'm getting unlucky with a Tennokai, but eventually I will get it, and even if I don't get it, I still do enough damage to kill these enemies, especially when they're this low level. But it's really crazy, honestly. Like, add a roar to this, you get millions of electricity procs. Like even there without roar we get 2.7 million electric proc, and you absolutely one-shot everybody. It's nuts. The only bad thing about this weapon is that it doesn't really do too well versus Acolytes, but I think 2 to 3 heavy attacks and Acolytes should go down as well. We'll see when the Acolyte actually does come around here and targets me, but There he is. So that's one. It's Torments or Sequences, sadly, but we might have killed her in one, but 2 heavy attacks were enough. In a public squad where the Acolytes would have more health, obviously you would need more, but overall it's not too bad versus Acolytes. It's not just a one-shot that you see whenever you do a Redeemer Prime. Like Redeemer Prime, 1 heavy attack and boom, it's over, basically. Yeah, if you wanna use this weapon, you should definitely try it. If you just have it sitting somewhere and you're like one of those people that uses it for Eidolons and just shredding armor from Eidolons, or having it as a primary melee weapon or something like that, this weapon can be so much more than just a primary melee weapon. It's insane. I always see people use this weapon as a primer, and I think out of everyone that I've seen on YouTube, I am pretty much the only one that advocates for this weapon usage and actually doing kills and kills per minute. So hope that soon changes and people actually wake up and see the potential in this weapon, because it is just, it borderlines on disruptive gameplay. It is that good. Last but not least is gonna be a weapon that I've showcased very recently, so I'm not actually gonna take it into the mission but just showcase it on the simulacrum. I'll leave the link of the original video in the description so you can see it, because I cannot explain it enough as I did on that video, but it's gonna be the Venato Prime with a new mod, Sentient Incision. I could have picked easily other weapons that have good synergy with melee influence, like the Okina Prime or the Nami Solo maybe, but not really. The Bow Prime has decent synergy because of its really high range. I've also made a video about that. But I think Sentient Incision, it makes the Venato Prime a candidate for the best just regular light attack melee weapon for melee influence. This mod is absolutely stupid. So basically, you know how Baruch has reactive storm, and he basically adapts his damage type to enemy defenses, and it just, you know, you go against Quinir, you deal corrosive. You go against corrupted enemies, you deal viral. You go against infested enemies, you deal gas, etc, etc. This thing does the same exact thing, but it doesn't override your damage. It just adds 120% elemental damage on top of what you already have. So if I spawn these heavy gunners right here, for example, and I go attack them, we will see that I'm dealing corrosive, electricity, and Tau all at once. So 1 melee influence proc, and I'm spreading all those status effects to absolutely everyone. If I instead do Corpus, for example, if I do the Junior Elite Crewman, then I will get Magnetic and Electricity. So we see Magnetic, Electricity, and instantly all of them die. If I instead go for Infested, and I go for this guy, we will see that we get Heat and Electricity, which is normally impossible, completely. So Heat and Electricity at the same time, and you're spreading both at the same time through melee influence. This is something that is normally not even possible. The only way to get heat and electricity onto any build would be to do Kome. You could only do it on Kome or other frames that just had electricity damage. And as you can see, on these guys that are Murmur are weak to radiation. So obviously you do radiation and electricity. So you spread radiation around and deal more damage to these guys, because obviously adapting to enemy defenses. And it just works like this for any faction. And every faction just gets completely destroyed by this weapon. Like the moment it touches it, it just deals 1 billion damage. It's insane. Here, you get free viral procs. So viral and electricity by just building electricity and using the weapon. Depending on whatever faction you fight, you're just getting the best possible result for that faction. And you can think of this as like a universal Bane mod for your weapon. And universal Bane mode on something that is melee influence is completely overpowered. Like you could, if you wanted to take this even further, you could do individual builds for every faction. Remove Gladiator Might, probably, right? Yeah, remove Gladiator Might for any smite mode that you want. depending on what faction you're fighting, and you have easily, damage-wise, the best melee influence weapon in the entire game, hands down. It's not even close. It's actually just not even close. It's like adding 3 Bane modes on top of each other and just working with them. And then you take it even further, just add Roar and yeah, GG. Just GG completely. Like, what the fuck? It is so incredibly powerful, and if you want to see like a full showcase of just how this weapon looks against every faction, I will leave a video in the description so you can actually see that. But obviously, so I can keep this video not like 1 hour long, I will just end it right here, and just, you know, you can go ahead and watch the other video if you want to see more. Thank you very much for watching another video of mine, and I will see you on the next one.